Well, it all comes down to this. We're here in Big Bear, California for the fifth and final race of the Spartan U.S. National Series presented by USANA. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Magida. There's no more fitting way to end the series than on the nastiest, most brutal course of the year. Starting at nearly 7,000 feet elevation and climbing to over 9,000, this 7-mile super course will grind racers to a pulp with steep, grueling climbs and quad-crushing descents. And of course, 30 obstacles thrown in there to break their rhythm, wear them out, and shake things up. In the men's race, we'll find out our 2021 champion today. 2 men stand atop the rankings, each with 2 victories and each needing 1 more. Will it be the upstart Veejay Jones, the young kid with the fast legs and the lean body sorcery? Or will it be old, reliable Ryan Atkins, who has consistently been at the top of this field for his entire career? Atkins is running about as well as we've seen him, and the last time we saw him on this course, he looked very much at home. Look for rim-to-rim FKT holder Lars Arneson to play spoiler today, as well as Ian Hosek, who loves to play in the mountains, and Logan Broadbent, who currently sits in 3rd in the series, who would love to hold Veejay off for that position. The final race in the Spartan U.S. National Series starts now. And the racers are off, and that's Ryan Atkins right to the front of things. He's going to try and take it to Veejay Jones. He knows that this is his terrain. Veejay has yet to prove to us that he can beat Atkins on his own terrain, the steep, long beast races. But Veejay's been improving in that, and it's really going to be the battle of these 2 men and maybe a couple others, Lars Arneson, Josiah Middow, Logan Broadbent up in the front. These are the competitors we're facing today. And as we look to this first climb, it's steep, it's long, and it has a sandbag at the top.
Well, I'm halfway up. It's 8 o'clock right here now in Big Bear, and it is freezing down below. It's actually quite a few degrees warmer just up top. But this is their first major hill that they come up, and then they're going to head up to Sandbag Carry from here. It's going to be a major fill. My quick prediction is that I think Ryan Atkins is kind of it suits him very well this course, so we'll see how well he does. I think Veejay Jones, if he attacks it, he's going to do well. There's a couple of dark horses in there, Ian Hosek and Lars Arneson, which I think are going to do very well. It might be a surprise on the podium. We will see. Who knows? It's OCR racing, anything can happen. Very, very exciting. All right, back to you, David.
Thanks again, Steve. And up in the front, here's one of those X Factors. That's Josiah Middow, and he is running just ahead of Lars Arneson and Ryan Atkins. Arneson had a top 5 finish at the North American Championships. Josiah, in his only other race this year, top 5 in Jacksonville, but really controlled and set the tone of the pace of that race. He's an incredible off-road runner and climber. Mountain biker, he's an Xterra champion many times over. This guy knows how to move in rough terrain, sloppy terrain, hilly terrain. This is what he does, and look how smooth he's climbing and pulling away with a smile on his face the whole time. Now just behind, shoulder to shoulder, that's Lars Arneson with Ryan Atkins. Lars Arneson is your rim-to-rim-to-rim FKT holder. Very talented runner. And it's interesting you see the difference in the builds of all 3 of these athletes. All completely different construction, but their legs are rock solid. And as we said before, we are climbing from 7,500 feet up to over 9,000. So this is a steep, long, grueling climb. And then we're losing oxygen as we're doing it. Looks like Arneson is starting to slowly close in on Josiah, and Atkins is working hard but trying to maintain, so you see him making those switches back and forth between power hiking and running.
Someone likes these hills.
It takes an incredible amount of power to continue to run up this thing. Not just power in your legs and your quads, but your glutes, your calves, strength through your core and your back. As Veejay Jones here says he doesn't really love the steep power hiking work, but he's put a lot of work into it in recent weeks. And for Jones, the stakes are huge here. This is an opportunity to win a National Series title if he can manage to beat Atkins in this race. He doesn't even necessarily have to win. He just has to finish ahead of Atkins. So keeping him in his sights, staying calm, running a relaxed race, and giving himself an opportunity is all he can do.
All right, baby. Still got a long way to go.
Up in the front, this is Josiah Middow making it to the first water station. This is about a mile into the race. It's also the first big obstacle of any kind. It's a farmer's table or a hurdle. Depends how they construct that. Is it flat on top or not? And then back into the trails. One little dip, and then there's going to be a bit more ascending right here. And now the sandbag carry. Not a huge carry, but given the elevation, given that it's at the top of this big climb, it does make things a little tougher. Let's see if this shakes it up.
Up, 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 all the way to the top.
We know Arneson can run, but can he carry heavy things up?
Up here, you need meds. Up here.
Top ones.
Shortened.
Yep.
And Atkins is doing so far what he needs to do, which is just put distance between himself and this man right here, Veejay Jones. Ian Hosek coming in 4th position and Veejay in 5th, but not far off the leaders, and this is what he needs.
Keep going. There's been.
Can Veejay do a couple things today? 1, limit the damage on the climbing. 2, crush the obstacles and make up time.
Well, definitely a surprise to someone got you, Josiah Middow in 1st place up the Sandbag. Got Lars Arneson in 2nd place and Ryan Atkins in 3rd place.
And the third thing that Veejay has to do, bomb the downhills. Can he outrun these men on the way back down? You see a lot of braking from Josiah right there, but he's rolling pretty nicely. Atkins traditionally is a very strong descender.
Ryan's already picking up time down here.
Up this next climb, that's Ian Hosek who's latched himself on to Veejay Jones. Just a little bump up, and then we go back to some more descending. These guys are gonna head all the way down the entire mountain. Next major sequence we'll see is a pipe layer obstacle followed by another big ascent. And you have to walk that fine line between moving quick through the messiness of this course and then also trying not to eat it on the way down too. Oh, as we hit Olympus right here on the way down. And Arneson has picked up the skills on these obstacles fairly quickly, as he's now just steps ahead of Atkins. And that's a little Mark Batras sighting, as well as Glenn Race. Race was one of the top racers in this field for years, but he's been gone all year. This is his first race back. In strong position right now, looking like a top 7 or 8 position at the moment. Both men are through clean. And here's Logan Broadbent. He's fresh off of running the Boston Marathon just 6 days before this race.
We're at about mile 2 on this course, and as you can see behind me, the athletes will have just finished descending back down this steep, rocky terrain. And as they round this corner, they're going to encounter this thing right here, the pipe layer. Well, you see, this is one of those obstacles where you gotta, contort your body a little bit, tucking up and down, just forcing you to use your hips, forcing you to choose a path of least resistance, and most importantly, can cause you to tighten up in some of these areas. It's not hard. It's just another thing that just taxes you, takes a little toll on the body. These things incrementally add up to a lot over the course of the race, especially when you got to turn around and run up this thing. Into the pipe layer right now, we've got a 3-man race. You've got Lars Arneson out in the front, Ryan Atkins, and Josiah Middow. And this is not unexpected right now that we have the 3 of these men, 3 of the strongest climbers in the field and trail runners in the field, all separating themselves from the pack. And you can see just behind, that's Veejay Jones. He had to descend hard, but he's in the pipe layer as well as Ian Hosek. So our expected lead contenders out here. Veejay's gonna try and reattach himself to this group before the next big climb.
And again, look at this difference of technique. We have running the entire way, Josiah Middow and Atkins switching between the run and the power hike. Atkins trying to just save running economy, trying to save energy. Middow trying to take it to these guys at each opportunity on the steep climbs. And there'll come a point where you see all this rubble and all these loose rocks. If you hit that, it's very hard to keep running. You kind of have to switch to that hike just because of how difficult it becomes to get your footing and generate power through the ground. But Middow's found a clean path and he's going right by Arneson. As things just kicked up a little bit steeper again. You can hear our cameraman right there working hard to keep up to get you this footage. And so it's Josiah Middow who's going to reach the crest of the climb after pipe layer soonest. It's still going up, but we limit the damage now because it's going to get a little more runnable. Arneson should try and run in a moment as well. And Atkins is still chasing hard right now. He still thinks a win is possible at this venue right now, despite the fact that he is still trailing Arneson and Middow. Here's your leader on the course, Josiah Middow. Xterra champion, incredible trail runner. And again, Lars Arneson right behind it. Atkins chasing hard, clearly moving the quickest through that section. And starting to look very comfortable, Ryan Atkins. You see how he just floats. And you might be wondering, what's that patch on his arm? Atkins is actually wearing that to measure his blood glucose levels. So the engineer in him is always interested in data-driven results, and he's getting them right now. Even in the race, he wants to know afterwards exactly how things went. A student of the game. And this is one of those next big, steep climbs. Atkins is going to try and pull himself back into that top 3. Still power hiking, still ascending. We're in that high elevation, thin air.
On this super sketchy descent, we've got Josiah Middahl still in first place, closely followed by Lars Arneson, who's coming down. They're just going over the box just now. There's Josiah. Lars doing fantastic. Ryan Atkins having a great time down here. Your top 3 males just coming through there. I think when they get to the top, I think it's going to be a dogfight on the way down, but I think it's all going to, the story's all going to be told down the bottom in the obstacle gauntlet. This far in, it's halfway through the race, but I think everything's going to be told down there. Well, Veejay in 4th place.
And Veejay Jones is hanging around, and that is good news for him. It's also a little bit surprising. I think, you know, we all know how talented Veejay Jones is, and he's really been dominant on the races that he has won this year. But this is a whole new ballgame for him. He talks about how he typically does not like to run races that go beyond an hour, 90 minutes at the most. So we are going to be running that borderline for him.
So approaching the top of the major last hill here. Yes, there are some other hills. We've got Josiah Middahl, 1st place. 2nd place, Lars Arneson. Comfortably in 3rd is Ryan Atkins. And Veejay Jones making a bit of a move just behind him. It's all going to be down that last obstacle gauntlet. Very, very exciting stuff here.
Now, Atkins has been fighting these 2 guys up near the front the whole time, and Veejay's been sitting back running his own race. Very smart. Such a young racer, but he races so intelligently. When you think about holding back and not getting sucked into this dogfight, that's how a lot of energy is wasted. Atkins has been dueling with these 2 great trail runners and climbers. Meanwhile, Veejay has sat back, run his tempo. It gives him a great opportunity as we look forward to the finish of this race. And you look at Josiah Middahl, such a gifted athlete with a great engine, still a little bit new to the obstacles, still figuring them out, still losing a little time here and there. Same with Arneson. Comparatively, you watch an Atkins and a Veejay Jones, how efficient they are at each obstacle, how much time they save over the guys that they're racing against. Watch this dismount, for example. His roll over the top, he doesn't walk it down. He's off very quickly. And Atkins probably just pulled 4 seconds back on Arneson right there.
So just on this last little bit, Ryan's made a bit of a dent. He saw Veejay Jones behind him, has made a bit of a move on Lars Arneson just up here.
Again, this battle for 3rd, 4th right now between Atkins and Veejay Jones is looming huge. Up in the lead, that's Josiah Middahl, but he doesn't have enough points to win the National Series. Atkins and Veejay Jones are the only 2 who do. And whichever one of them comes out on top and beats the other is going to take home not just points today and cash today, but the overall title of U.S. National Series champion. Atkins already has this title. Veejay's trying to win his first. And things just got a little bit closer. Ryan Atkins on the verge of overtaking Lars Arneson. Again, picking up those precious seconds over the obstacles. Arneson's working so much harder to try and hold him off just by outrunning him on the climbs. And now we're going to descend again. As we head back towards the village, we have big obstacle gauntlets to come. A ton of obstacles in the village festival area right at the finish. As we hit inverted wall now. Atkins now just a second ahead. And he's setting Josiah Middow in his sights. Ryan Atkins trying to descend, trying to pull away from Lars Arneson. And Arneson refusing to be denied, taking second place again. But if you look back in the distance, that's Veejay Jones creeping up. As these two men continue to go head to head and throw attacks at each other, Veejay's running that steady tempo behind. It's easier to hold a tempo than to constantly accelerate.
Think about that.
And Middow getting through the Z-wall.
So, Josiah Middow has just completed Z-walls, as you can see, and right round the corner, the two together, Ryan Atkins, Lars Arneson, who's going to come out first on this.
Atkins just cannot shake Arneson right now. They're right together, really tight. And I don't know if you noticed on that Z-wall, but it's a slight slant because it's on this slope. You have to choose your side very wisely, so when you get around the first corner, you're not leaning away from the wall. You want to be leaning towards the wall if it's ever on a slant. A very tough choice to make on some blind corners up there. As Atkins is now only about a second up on Arneson, but expect him to take one or two more over this vertical cargo net. Now he's put a little gap in there. Each obstacle a couple seconds as Veejay Jones is trying to pull them back as well. Considers himself an obstacle specialist. And right back up to speed.
So Veejay here having an absolute race for his life. He's not that far behind the lead pack at all. Oh my goodness, it's going to be one hell of a finish. These four are pretty clear from the rest of the pack, and you can just see them all going up. There's Middow on the last hill. It's just crested, and Lars and Atkins are working together there. Veejay right behind him.
See, Atkins is an incredible obstacle athlete, but Veejay Jones might be the best short course racer in the world. And as we get towards this obstacle gauntlet at the finish, he's going to have a number of opportunities to make up this deficit that he has. If you're Ryan Atkins, you're a little bit nervous right now. You got to keep pushing. That's Arneson maybe 10 seconds back from Atkins, and then only about another 3 or 4 seconds back to Veejay Jones. Jones putting a huge push on. We said he had to work those descents, and look at him go, bounding down this road. He may overtake Arneson. Over to the Atlas carry. Josiah Middow still in the lead, but it's only seconds ahead of Ryan Atkins now. Atkins has been methodically pulling him back. It's just exactly one Atlas stone difference between them. And look at Veejay Jones putting the ball on his shoulder, making up even more time on Arneson. Now about 2.5 seconds between them. Veejay Jones trying to show him, this is the reason I'm an expert in this sport. I'm using all of my expertise right now.
And I'll tell you what, Veejay Jones is proving to everyone that he can climb in the mountains and that he can sustain it on the longer courses, because here he is in the mix, still with an opportunity to take down Atkins, as Atkins has moved into the lead off of Helix.
That's Josiah. Yeah, I got this battle, I got these two.
Atkins is now in first place, Josiah Middow in second. Lars Arneson is hitting Helix. And Veejay Jones has just caught Josiah Middow. He's almost caught Ryan Atkins. And we are entering the festival area. And this is a real battle right now. Atkins has looked back. He knows the trouble he's in. He's gonna have to be perfect to take down Veejay Jones now, because this is a rope climb separating the two of them. And at this point, it's gonna be a half-mile sprint home.
We got ourselves a battle right now, because that is Ryan Atkins just steps in front of Veejay Jones. Look at this war that we have. Whoever wins this race is gonna take this series. As they head into the tire flip, Atkins is about one flip ahead of Veejay, and just behind him, Josiah Middow is entering the frame as well. Veejay has got to stay on Ryan. This race could come down to a spear throw. Atkins and Veejay coming out of that tire flip and into the A-frame. It's only about an 8-second gap between them. Who can be swifter on the obstacles? Who's going to keep their composure of the two? Both men completely exhausted as they come into this last gauntlet of obstacles. Who can shave those precious seconds?
Atkins is the first to arrive over at the Herkhoist. But he's only about 4 seconds ahead of Veejay Jones, and he's using the arm-over-arm technique.
This race may come down to the spear, because Veejay Jones is just seconds behind Ryan Atkins as they come up into the spear throw and then the bucket carry.
So, are you kidding me? This is crazy. The spear throw is literally going to decide the US National Series race. Ryan Atkins and Veejay Jones.
Atkins is walking in, taking his time.
A hit here is critical. A miss would be devastating. As Atkins straightens out the tip of his spear. We should be out of it. And Veejay is actually struck first. Both athletes have hit within a second of one another. And now into the bucket carry, the gap is now a single second.
It's anyone's race at this point. We can't decide. We have no idea who will win this race, but a bucket carry might now be the difference. There's no spears left. There's no major failable obstacles left. All there is who can push.
And as they enter the bucket carry, still just a second or two apart, their whole season comes down to these last couple obstacles. Atkins so strong on the carries, it's going to take everything Veejay has to stay with him up this climb. As it kicks up steep, he needs to maintain contact. After this, all they have left is a downhill, a slip wall, and barbed wire. Veejay said before this race, I've never beaten Atkins on a course that's built for him. As he moves into the lead, you can see the confidence growing in him. Veejay has said, I want to stake my claim as being able to beat the greats from the generation before me. And here he is with an opportunity not just to win this race over Atkins on one of the toughest courses of the year, but also
to claim the title of U.S. National Series champion.
Josiah Middow has entered the fray, still trying to chase for a podium spot here. And Middow is fighting to hold off Lars Arneson right now. And up in the distance, it's no more than 50 yards. That's Ryan Atkins and Veejay Jones. And Jones in the lead. Close to the peak. That's the peak for Veejay Jones. And you see him drop that bucket in front, and he is bombing the downhill and extending his lead. Atkins is running out of real estate. It's gonna be tough. Can he claw Jones back? The title is on the line. Can't hold it back now under this dunk wall. It's freezing cold. It's just seconds between them. But there's only a couple 100 meters left. Atkins trying to close on Jones as Jones is on the final ascent. It's Veejay Jones in 1, it's Ryan Atkins in 2. And just barbed wire to the finish once they reach the peak.
Come on, Ryan. Come on, Ryan. Come on.
Veejay Jones the first to the wire, rolling hard. And Atkins is in giving chase, but he's running out of room. Veejay Jones is right there. And out of the wire, Veejay Jones ahead of Atkins. And Veejay Jones has broken the tape. He's won the race. Your men's champion from Big Bear, and for the 2021 U.S. National Series is Veejay Jones. Josiah Middow coming in for third position behind Ryan Atkins. And Lars Arneson taking fourth. Two races for Lars Arneson, a fourth and a fifth in two majors this year. Arneson will be a force.
Never before have we seen a national series end with such a close finish in that battle for first or second. Two men laid it out there this year, each man coming in with 2 victories, and both men within seconds of each other on the final race of the year. An incredible finish. We couldn't have asked for more from Veejay Jones and Ryan Atkins, and your champion today, Veejay Jones, has joined that book of legends that he has wanted to defeat those men that have come before him and say, my time is now. We're standing here with your men's Big Bear champion and now National Series champion for 2021, Veejay Jones.
Dude, I said at the beginning of the year we were just getting started. I didn't lie. Dude, I knew that I'm good on the downhills as long as I don't sell out too much on the climb. So after OCR Worlds, I really had a bad power hiking experience there, so I put some work in, changed my technique mainly. It paid off. I was able to keep the distance. I went really conservative on the first climb. I think Atkins put 30 or 40 seconds on me, but then it stayed that way the rest of the race until we hit the top of the last climb. I started pushing, trying to close in. Once we started the descent, I channeled my inner Luna Lima and freaking bombed hard, and I was able to close in to where we hit this last gauntlet, and I knew who's gonna beat me through a gauntlet of obstacles. So I felt real good, charged through, and was able to make a pass on the bucket, but I sold out for it, dude. I was seeing red, I was seeing stars all through this last section. I've never worked so hard for a race in my life. Like, that was the most painful experience, but like the most rewarding.
And we saw you nibble a few seconds here or there on the last few obstacles leading up to that bucket carry, including about 6 or 7 seconds on the spear you actually threw before Atkins did.
Yeah.
And you left together, but I don't think any of us expected you to make that pass on the bucket right there at the end. A hard charge over the top and then descended very hard out of it.
I'm telling you, lean body sorcery, it's a thing. It's for real. But dude, bucket's all about decision. So much of this being proficient at things is about the decision to move. On the downhills, it's this decision to go fast. And I made the decision, I wanted it today. I wasn't gonna accept anything less. And if he beat me, he was gonna have to sell out just as hard as I was, but I was able to edge him out just at the end. And you know, like, it's such an honor to race the guy that's won this series more than anyone else. Like, one of the biggest legends of the sport, and I wouldn't have wanted it any other way than to take him on the very last race of the series and have to beat him to be the U.S. National Series champion. He was the gatekeeper, and it's an honor, and I'm so stoked.
That's exactly it. You said I wanted to beat him on his terrain, and you did that today. So congratulations, Veejay.
Thank you so much.
You're a champion now, man.
Woo! Let's go.
I'm here with Ryan Atkins, who put forth an absolutely incredible showing. That's not just mud and water, that's sweat too. Ryan, we know you're disappointed with second, but tell us about how the race played out, because you ran great.
I wasn't feeling like amazing on the climbs, but I was feeling good enough, I guess. And I just paced it, I was waiting until the end. And I honestly didn't expect Veejay to be, I was more racing like Josiah and Lars. And then when I passed them, I didn't expect Veejay to be so close. And then he just got me on the final bucket, passed me, and I don't know. I just, in hindsight, it's easy to say like, oh, I should have just ran faster. But I mean, you're racing, so you're giving it everything. And I think Veejay really wanted it today.
He really wanted it, and he was very excited to be racing head to head at the end against you in particular.
Right. Yeah, it was cool. It was a cool experience. It was cool to see like the race come down to that final quarter mile, all the obstacles, the whole series. That was pretty awesome.
Well, there you have it. Your men's champion, Veejay Jones, has been crowned. Ryan Atkins settles for second this year, followed by Ryan Woods in the series, taking third. An amazing year. So thank you all for joining us for this incredible season and for this amazing race in Big Bear. And once again, from Spartan, thank you all. We will see you in Abu Dhabi.